Good morning, students. We will talk about nasal cavity and paranasal sinuses tumors in this lecture. Different benign and malignant tumors can involve nasal cavity proper and paranasal sinuses in the nasal cavity. Benign tumors are usually smooth, they are localized over the local site from where they are arise and covered with the mucous membrane. Where malignant tumors are usually friable in nature, which usually granular and bleeds on touch while doing the nasal endoscopy or physical examination externally. Different benign tumors are inverted papilloma, pleomorphic adenoma, schwannoma, hemangioma, chordroma, intranasal meningoencephalocele, glioma, nasal dermoid, angiofibroma, and squamous papilloma. Where malignant tumors are malignant melanoma, olfactory neuroblastoma, hemangiopericytoma, lymphoma, plasmacytoma, sarcoma, carcinoma of nasal cavity, which is usually squamous cell carcinoma, and different other adenocarcinoma types. We will talk about them one by one. Benign tumors. Benign, as we have previously seen, that they are smooth, covered with mucous membrane and attached to the local site. Squamous papilloma is usually benign and verrucous lesion. It is like verrucous lesion and it has a cauliflower like growth, mostly arising from the vestibule or lower part of the nasal septum. Here you can see that in this image on anterior rhinoscopy, from the left side of nasal septum, a verrucous or whitish cauliflower like growth is arising from the lower part of little's area. It is usually single. It can also be multiple, usually pedunculated and or sessile. Main treatment is local excision with base should be cauterized enough to prevent the recurrence. So we can excise the tumor locally here, and after that we should cauterize this base to prevent the recurrence. Inverted papilloma, they are usually benign tumor, also known as Ringer's tumors, usually involve the maxillary sinus, middle turbinate and lateral wall of nose. Seen at 40 to 70 years of age and more commonly seen in male population with 5:1 ratio. Microscopically, neoplastic epithelium usually seen to grow towards the underlying stroma. And main treatment is functional endoscopic sinus surgery and doing the removal of this tumor from the nasal cavity via debrider and by doing the lateral rhinotomy or medial maxilloctomy, and by doing that we can remove the tumor which is present in the maxillary sinus. Sometimes whenever it involves the ethmoidal cavity, we can also do the ethmoidectomy, which is anterior or posterior ethmoidectomy. In this nasal endoscopic diagram, you can see that this is the nasal septum, this is the lateral wall of nose, and here multiple papillomatous lesion is arising from the lateral wall of nose and seen in nasal cavity. So patient can have symptoms of nasal obstruction, recurrent nasal discharge, which can also be bloody. Pleomorphic adenoma, usually rare in nasal cavity, arise from the nasal septum and cause nasal obstruction and occasionally nasal discharge due to sinus ostium blockage. Main treatment is surgical excision. Schwannoma and meningioma are nerve-related benign tumors, usually uncommon in nature, usually found intranasally and more commonly involve the maxillary sinus and ethmoidal sinuses. Surgical excision is the main treatment, which can be done by internally functional endoscopic sinus approach or by externally lateral rhinotomy approach. Hemangioma can be capillary hemangioma or cavernous hemangioma. Capillary hemangioma, usually known as bleeding polyp also, usually soft, dark, red, pedunculated, sessile polyp or made up of blood vessels arise from the anterior part of the nasal septum and it will come into the lateral nasal cavity. Here patient will have bleeding from the nasal cavity, that is the main symptom, with nasal obstruction. Whenever patient has history of nasal picking, patient can develop excessive bleeding from the local site due to rupture of blood vessel. Local excision is the main treatment with surrounding mucoparenchyma should be cauterized enough to prevent the recurrence. In this anterior rhinoscopy diagram, you can see that some bleeding polypoidal lesion which is arising from the lateral left side part of the septum. So this is capillary hemangioma. Cavernous hemangioma is usually arises from the turbinate or the lateral wall of nose, in which inferior turbinate is most commonly involved. Main symptoms are bleeding from the nasal cavity or epistaxis and nasal obstruction. Surgical excision with help of cautery or cryosurgery, and whenever there is extensive lesion is present which is involving also the different sinuses and lateral wall of nose, we can go for removal of that cavernous hemangioma followed by radiotherapy. In this CT scan diagram, this is the right nasal cavity and this is the left nasal cavity, in which you can see that hemangiomatous lesion which is highly contrast in nature arising from the lateral wall of nose. This is the medial part of the wall or the septum. So this is cavernous hemangioma. Chondroma arising from the ethmoid nasal cavity and nasal septum. It can be pure or mixed type. Pure are more commonly seen. Pure chondroma are smooth and firm and lobulated in nature like polyp. Main treatment for chondroma is surgical excision by face or external incision. Glioma are usually seen in children and infant. Intranasally present as a firm polyp attached to the any turbinate or lateral wall of nose. Sometimes it can be also extranasally extended. Intranasal meningoencephalocele. It is usually seen in infant and young children. Whenever patient will have no symptom, this type of lesion can also be seen in adult or middle age population. Usually in this type of intranasal meningoencephalocele, meninges and brain usually comes out from the defective part of the bone between the nose, nasal cavity and skull. So here there is a gap in between this bone dividing nose and brain. So from this gap, some part of the meninges or the brain will come out and will present in the nasal cavity. Here you can see that blackish color tissue which is coming out from the nasal brain into the nasal cavity. Herniation of brain or meninges from the defect in the cribriform plate or any other part of the anterior cranial or middle cranial fossa. Present as a smooth polyp in the upper part of nasal cavity and middle turbinate in the nasal cavity. It is increases in size on crying and straining as there is increase in the intracranial pressure. Main treatment is frontal craniotomy, severing the stalk from the brain and repair of the dural defect and bony defect. So we will do frontal craniotomy, remove this bone. We will remove this stalk from here because this is non-functional usually. So there is no need to keep this into the brain. So removal of this stalk, and after that we will put a bony graft or a fascia to prevent any other part of this brain coming into the nasal cavity. Nasal dermoid. It is usually present as a widening of upper part of nasal septum or bilateral nasal bone or dorsum of the nose with splaying of nasal bones, that is the increase in the distance between the two nasal bones, and hypertelorism, that is the increase in the width or the distance between the two medial canthus of the eye. Sometimes in this dermoid a cyst is noted, or sometimes due to this rupture of the cyst a pit or a sinus may be seen in the midline of this dorsum of the nose. Sometimes hair also protrude from the opening, but which is very rare. Here in this different diagram you can see the different levels of the cyst, and you can see a different level of the pit or nasal dermoid. Main treatment is surgical excision of this dermoid sinus tract. Here this pit usually followed by a sinus tract which is reach up to this level. So we have to remove this pit with along with the sinus tract. Main treatment is surgical excision. Nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. Usually it is a vascular and fibrous tumor arising from the spinopalatine foramen and the blood vessel surrounding it. The blood vessel in this nasopharyngeal angiofibroma are devoid of tunica media. So they have only two layers. So this type blood vessel in this angiofibroma usually bleeds profusely. So these patients are usually male in adult usually seen in male population and during the 10 to 18 years of age. Main treatment is surgical excision via external or functional endoscopic sinus approach. We will talk about malignant tumors in this lecture. Malignant tumors are of different types, one of which is malignant melanoma. Usual age of presentation of malignant melanoma in nasal cavity is 50 years of age. Usually seen in as bluish or black polypoidal mass in the nasal cavity involving unilaterally or sometimes salty grey color of mass in the nasal cavity. Most frequent site of malignant melanoma arising is anterior part of the nasal septum followed by middle and inferior turbinate. Usually this malignant lesion spreads by lymphatic and bloodstream and can also spread up to the lungs also. Main treatment is wide surgical excision followed by histopathological confirmation and radiotherapy SOS. Olfactory neuroblastoma. It is a very rare tumor, very aggravating tumor involving the cribriform plate. It usually occurs at any age and there is no sex predilection in this type of tumor. Appearance is as cherry red in color in upper third of nasal cavity as arising from the cribriform plate. It is usually vascular in nature and bleeds profusely on doing the biopsy. Surgical excision in the main treatment followed by radiation. Here you can see that whitish mass, very vascular and highly contrast in nature, which is arising from the cribriform plate and going into the nasal cavity. This is the endoscopic image of the local site, and after removal of this nasal cavity and olfactory neuroblastoma, you can see that there is a huge gap in the nasal cavity and there is no tumor in the cribriform plate. So this is a clear cut removal of olfactory neuroblastoma noted in surgical diagram. Lymphoma. Usually non-Hodgkin's type of lymphoma is seen over the nasal septum, also known as midline granuloma, in which there is necrosis of the nasal septum mucosa, bone and formation of multiple granulation. Lymphoma usually should be differentiated from the different granulomatous diseases involving nasal cavity. Main treatment is chemotherapy and occasionally radiotherapy. Sarcoma are rare involving nasal cavity. Sarcoma affecting nasal cavity are osteogenic sarcoma, chondrosarcoma, rhabdomyosarcoma, angiosarcoma and malignant histiocytoma. Hemangioperiocytoma, usually seen at the age of 60 to 70 years of age, arising from the pericyte, which is a cell surrounding the capillary and usually gives supporting role. It is vascular in nature, so hemangioperiocytoma usually vascular in nature and bleed profusely on biopsy. Usually treated with the wide local excision and radiotherapy for inoperable or recurrent cases or for extensive lesions. Plasmacytoma, usually predominantly seen in male over the age of 40 years. Solitary plasmacytoma without generalized osseous disease in nasal cavity is usually seen. Usually treated by radiotherapy followed by surgery whenever there is localized disease is present in the nasal cavity. Carcinoma of the nasal cavity. Usually secondary due to the extension of the paranasal sinus tumors. So usually whenever a patient will have a disease or in carcinoma involving paranasal sinuses, it can reach up to the nasal cavity via its ostium or their boundary involving bones. So whenever this lesion usually involve nasal cavity, it will develop different symptoms like nasal obstruction, nasal bleeding. Main histopathological classification or types of carcinoma nasal cavity are squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma and adenocystic carcinoma, in which squamous cell carcinoma is the most common type, about 70 to 80% of the all cases. Squamous cell carcinoma usually arises after the 50 years of age, arises from the vestibule or septum or lateral wall, treated by surgery and radiotherapy. Adenocarcinoma and adenocystic carcinoma usually arising from the glands of the mucous membrane or the minor salivary gland present in the nasal mucosa. Treatment is same as the surgery and radiotherapy. Paranasal sinus tumors. Usually there are different benign and malignant tumors involving paranasal sinuses. Osteoma are commonly seen over the front sinus, in which bony lesion or bony benign tumor involving frontal sinus is present over the frontal sinus ostium, and patient will have the complaint of nasal obstruction or local pain. Pain is usually rare in this type of cases. Usually asymptomatic in nature, requires excision when becomes symptomatic due to the obstruction of the sinus ostium, and patient will develop recurrent episodes of frontal sinusitis. Fibrous dysplasia. It is a benign tumor in which bone of nasal cavity or sinuses are replaced by fibrous tissue. Most common is maxillary sinus involving in this fibrous dysplasia, and there is presentation as disfigurement of the face as there is enlargement of the maxillary cavity or involving nasal sinuses. Usually treated by surgical resculpting of the bone, removal of the fibrous tissue involving maxillary bone, followed by bone grafting and cosmetic recorrection of the local site. Ossifying fibroma is usually seen in young adult in benign tumors in nasal cavity. Ameloblastoma is a aggressive benign tumor arising from the odontogenic tissue and invades the maxillary sinus. Main treatment is surgical excision. Inverted papilloma, hemangioma and meningioma, as we have seen previously in the nasal cavity tumors, they can also involve the nasal sinuses, and the treatment is same as we have previously seen. Main treatment for these tumors is surgical excision. Malignant tumors involving paranasal sinuses. Incidence of malignant tumor involving paranasal sinus is 0.44% of all body cancers. So they are very rare. Commonly seen in South Africa. Most commonly involved sinus is maxillary sinus, followed by ethmoid, frontal and sphenoid sinus. Main etiology is occupation. People working in the hardwood furniture industry develop adenocarcinoma of ethmoid and upper nasal cavity. When people working in the nickel refining agency or factories, squamous and anaplastic carcinoma. Leather worker and working patients in the mustard gas factories can also develop different malignant tumors involving ethmoidal and maxillary sinus. Types are usually cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, adenocystic carcinoma, malignant melanoma and sarcoma. Cell carcinoma is the most common type. Carcinoma of the maxillary sinus. Early features of carcinoma maxillary sinus is same as the maxillary sinusitis. Patient will have recurrent attacks of sinusitis followed by blood-stained nasal discharge, which is chronic in nature. Patient can develop pain and facial paresthesia due to involvement of different nerves, anterior ethmoidal and posterior ethmoidal nerves. Late features depend on the direction of spread of the tumor. Tumor can grow anteriorly involving the anterior cheekbone and skin, can go posteriorly and come into the nasopharynx, can come into the medially over the nasal cavity and can cause nasal obstruction. Can also involve inferiorly of the and involve upper alveolar arch, superiorly involving orbit, cribriform plate and intracranial spread. Lymphatic spread can be seen in the late stages and involve the submandibular, upper jugular and retropharyngeal nodes, and patient will develop different swellings over the neck. Systemic spread is usually to the lungs. Investigation which we can do is the main is the CT-PNS with contrast, and it will give us idea about a malignant lesion involving nasal cavity and surrounding structure. Biopsy is confirmation for the lesion. Classification of the maxillary sinus tumors. Different classifications are available for maxillary sinus tumors. First is on-grain classification, in which an imaginary plane dividing the face is done, in which line is extending between the medial canthus of eye and angle of mandible. This is the medial canthus of the eye and angle of mandible, a line drawn. Superior is the suprastructure, inferior is the infrastructure. Tumor involving suprastructure are very bad in nature, very aggressive in nature, as there are different structures which are in close relation with it, like orbit, cribriform plate, meninges and brain. So they have very poor prognosis. Surrounding infrastructure have better prognosis, as they are not so aggressive in nature. Lederman classification, in which there are three lines are drawn. One vertical line from the medial wall of orbit to separate the ethmoidal sinus and nasal fossa from the maxillary sinus is done. Here a vertical line between the ethmoidal cavity and maxillary cavity. Two imaginary line. Superior line is from the floor of the orbit and lower one passing from the antrum. According to nasal cavity divided into different 9 parts, and according to involvement of these different 9 parts, the tumor is classified. So this is lead classification. Third classification is PNM classification. Histologically, maxillary sinus tumors are classified as differentiated, moderately differentiated and poorly differentiated. Main treatment is surgery, excision and radiotherapy. Sometimes whenever this radiotherapy is also associated with telecobalt therapy followed by 4 to 6 weeks chemotherapy, and sometimes this is usually given initially radiotherapy followed by excision of growth by total and extended maxillectomy involving maxillary sinus tumors. So we can do surgical followed by therapy, or we can do therapy, or which is also a radiotherapy followed by there will be decrease in size of the tumor and we can go for surgery. Ethmoidal sinus malignancy, usually they are the extension of the primary growth of the maxillary sinus. Whenever there is a tumor in the maxillary sinus, and it will superiorly spread and involve the ethmoidal sinus. Clinical features are, whenever early stage is present, it is as seen in maxillary sinus, but in late stage when it involves the ethmoidal sinus, patient can get orbital pain or pain while doing the eyeball movement whenever there is involvement of lamina papyracea or orbital cavity. Sometimes in late broad of the nasal root, displacement of the eyeball or whenever there is extensive involvement of orbital cavity. Treatment is lateral rhinotomy and total ethmoidectomy, and also the maxillectomy whenever there is tumor in the maxilla also. Craniofacial resection is needed whenever there is involvement of cranial fossa or cribriform plate, and followed by radiotherapy and chemotherapy. In this diagram you can see that a squamous cell cancer of a left ethmoidal cavity which is arising ethmoidal cavity across the lamina papricae and also in medial wall of orbit. Frontal sinus malignancy. This frontal sinus and sphenoid sinus malignancy are very rare. Frontal sinus malignancy are years of age. Clinical features are swelling of the frontal region with the pain, and sometimes if it erodes floor of the sinus, it can cause swelling over the medial canthus or involvement of orbit. If it erodes the posterior table of frontal sinus, then it will involve the dura mater of the anterior cranial fossa and brain. Treatment is radiation followed by frontal sinusectomy with ethmoidal and orbital extenteration whenever the ethmoid or involvement is there. Sphenoid sinus malignancy are usually very rare in nature and radiotherapy. So, in the malignant tumors in different region of nasal cavity, main symptoms are nasal obstruction, difficulty in nasal breathing unilaterally, nasal discharge, usually bloody in nature in hemangioma, inverted papilloma in benign tumors, and bloody in nature in malignant tumors. Sometimes blood stained whitish discharge is also seen with nasal obstruction. Whenever there is extensive tumor involving orbit or anterior cranial fossa or upper jaw or floor of the maxillary sinus or the hard palate, patient will develop different other symptoms involving the surrounding structure. Main investigations are nasal endoscopy, X-ray paranasal sinuses, CT scan paranasal sinuses with contrast, MRI paranasal sinuses with brain with contrast, and treatment is according to the biopsy which is confirmatory in nature. Main treatment for most of the tumors is surgical excision, and if it is a malignancy, followed by radiotherapy. So, this is all about paranasal sinuses tumors, benign or malignant, involving nasal cavity and paranasal sinuses. Thank you.